all for coming. We stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, guys. Thanks for everybody coming. Public forum sign up and yes. Everybody sign up and things are tomorrow to talk and things. Good. Last Tim. Anybody out there? Good.
All of us.
All right. Perfect. Announcements.
So the first order of action or order of business is for you to swear in your newest board
Yay.
member.
Very good. That way she's responsible for everything today. You have your little sheet. Yeah. So I,
I,
state your name,
Jenny Jones,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and the laws therefore,
and the laws therefore,
and the policies of the Jervis School District.
and the policies of the Jervis School District.
During my term,
During my term,
I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of this office of school board member to the best of my ability.
discharge the duties of the office of school board member to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Welcome. There you go.
Okay, I just wanted to share out that all staff in service, district-wide is August 30th from 8 until 11:30. That morning, we'll be at Jervis Elementary School. We have a guest speaker coming in from 10 to 11:30. I put a little bio in your packet for you to take a look at. Her name is Christine Chas. I think that's how you say her last name. I have not heard her speak, but Philip and Sandra went to a conference where she spoke and said she was amazing. And we were able to get her to come to our little district. So we're excited for that, really setting the tone for like, let's go, let's move forward. We're ready. So I will also have lunch provided at 11:30. We're doing food trucks. So if you would like to come and join us, more than welcome to do so. And then we feel like we built quite a bit of time into in-service week for teachers to have time in their classrooms and getting ready for kids. So excited for that. The open house will be on Thursday, August 31st. And so at all three buildings, that starts, teachers will be on a different schedule that day, or staff will go from noon to 8, with each building having their open house later in the evening, like 6 or so. And then I also wanted to give you an update about the garage sale. It was supposed to be last week or this weekend, but because of the heat, we were not able to prepare everything. It's just in the tent and it's like a sauna in there. So yes, and so we have postponed it until August 25th and 26th. And then finally, I wanted to remind you, don't forget you have to do online trainings because you are mandatory reporters. So you should have gotten an email saying, hey, don't forget, but if I will check with Sandra tomorrow, we'll make sure that you get that information. If you have any problems with that, you can let us know. We'll help you out.
When does that have to be completed by?
I would say if you get it completed within the next month, you're fine.
Okay.
That's all the announcements I have.
Well, on to approval minutes, read any questions of them? I don't have my person that's going to read my motion tonight. So one of you is going to have this. So did anybody have anything on the minutes? Good. Yep, go ahead and make a motion.
I will try this. Move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approve the school board's regular executive. Do you want together, right?
Yep.
An executive session meeting minutes Thursday, July 20th, 2023.
Okay, we have a motion.
I second. Or I motion it.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have three. I'm good. All right, public forum. So I need to read this and then we have level one to talk about something. Yes. So, the public forum, we have some things that we just want to make sure. Public preparation in the board meeting, the statement by members of public should be brief, concise. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, establish a time limit on discussions or oral presentations by the visitor of any topic. Speaker may offer objective criticism of school operations and programs, but the board will not hear complaints to individual school personnel. The chairperson will direct complaints to the appropriate means for board consideration and disposition at the legitimate complaints involving individuals at this time. Members of the public are invited to present concerns to the board. Leslie, you'd like to come up and say something?
I've got plenty.
Okay, well, we're gonna give you, what's the normal time? What? We'll give you 3 minutes, so say it fast. And it's walking time too.
Oh.
I'm joking. Take your time. You go, have a seat right over there.
Okay. I have 3 questions for Mrs. Stevens. Number one, when are we going to call in a competent workman and clean up the mess that is the sewer for the athletic dressing rooms? I'm just going to, she don't have to answer today, but someday she will answer. Number one. Number two, why aren't we looking into the drains on our roofs? Now, we have parapet roofs, which means it has to go down the drain. It can't go over the side and be forgotten about. And I'm asking that to Mrs. Stevens, but she can figure it out herself. Number three, and this is all in the same dirty mess. Why aren't we cleaning up our heating system in the high school building? Everybody knows that they have trouble keeping the south wings warm. There's a reason. That exhaust pipe that goes from the junction in the hallway there down to the boiler is too small. If you want to make that system work in a hurry, all you have to do is take a water hose, hook it onto it there at the drain at where the hall comes into the south wing, and it'll work perfectly. Now, you figure everybody here can hire an engineer to figure out why. That's the first beef I have.
Okay.
The second beef I have is that there's a lot of stuff that I do not know and cannot know until we get to the action items. Why isn't an amount of time allowed to bring up bits and pieces that we may know for when we're actually getting ready to take an action? Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mom.
All right. Report.
Okay, we'll start with, we'll have the three building principals make presentations tonight. Dusty, you are up. Can you hear me, Creighton? Yeah, okay, just making sure. So, Creighton, can you text Dusty to see what's going on? And in the meantime, we'll have, oh wait, oh, there he is.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry, just stepping out.
Just
Of
upside
course
down.
that's always happens.
Yeah. So sorry for not being there in person. I also serve as the stake executive secretary for 10 congregations that serve 3,500 members throughout Woodburn, Silverton, Kaiser, and Salem, and love it. But it just the conflict of meetings. So I'll be there when I can be, but I appreciate being able to just zoom in today. Just wanted to share a few highlights from Jervis Elementary School. So over the summer, Creighton organized a pretty phenomenal migrant summer school that served a small population of students, but in a pretty phenomenal way. Very language rich and a lot of pretty amazing experiential learning. It was ocean themed, including a trip down to the Oregon coast and the aquarium at Newport. And so that was absolutely amazing. And then we're just finishing up right now a Jumpstart Kinder program that has almost all of our registered kinders participating in that. And so we have 3 classrooms with instructional assistants and additional support. And the goal of that program is just to really help our incoming kinders become familiar with school schedules, routines, develop good relationships with their teachers and their classmates, develop some basic academic skills as well. And what's been great is we did just roster all of our classes and assign all of our teachers today, but it gives us 2 weeks to really get to know those students first, to do some testing of all those kids so we can get really intentional groupings of those students. So we were really grateful for both the Migrant Summer School and for Jumpstart Kinder program. I think kind of the big news for us has been hiring. We are the biggest school in the district, and I really appreciate the blessing of the superintendent, the school board being behind opening up a few new positions for us. So we're actually adding 2 new classrooms this year, and we're adding a new STEAM TOSA position who's going to be doing a lot of the science and math work in our school, which I think is going to be just an incredible thing. But it's necessitated a lot of new hiring and all of the shuffle. So we will have 22 new staff members to the building or new to their roles in the school, which is a third of our building. Half of our teachers will be new this year, but we've been, I think, very deliberate and very extensive in our hiring, and we have some awesome individuals coming on. We're down to just a student advocate position, which will be hired internally, and 5 instructional assistants. We're interviewing 7 tomorrow. So I'm pretty hopeful that tomorrow we'll have everything hired. But to think of having 22 new staff in the building or in their roles is a little overwhelming, but also exciting. And we've had a lot of them working through Jumpstart, coming into the building and just all in and excited to be in Jervis. And so I think trying to find people who weren't going to bounce right through, who really want to be in Jervis because they want to have an impact. And so I think we found some pretty awesome educators to be part of that. And then another thing we've been working on this summer, so Kaylin Dees, former first grade teacher, is stepping into the role as assistant principal, and she's going to be absolutely awesome. And we've been doing a lot of work on our attendance and behavior plans. Really just the mantra we're going to have this year is that Jervis Elementary is a school where each person belongs. And the each means that we're going to know each and every student, that we're going to be very attentive to them and responsive, especially when it comes to them arriving late to school or not showing up at all, and very attentive to their behavior needs. And so this behavior plan and the trauma-informed care that we're going to be providing is going to really help empower and support teachers to provide a lot of that care in the classroom. So the kids aren't being sent off to the assistant principal or the principal, but that really a lot of that care and that support can happen in the classroom itself. And so a lot of that work is happening. I think it's going to be received well by staff. And I think it's going to be really impactful for students. And then we did get the Latinx Student Success Grant again. And so we're going to be able to offer a tremendous amount of after school programming, both clubs and family activities in the evening. So we're excited just to keep doing that. And I think what it really does for our community is it provides equity. Our kids aren't able to participate in a lot of the programming being in a really small community. So to have a violin club, to have choir and to have drama, to have robotics and Lego robotics, to have coding and art and gardening, is pretty phenomenal that our kids can access, I think, more programs than major districts could offer. And so we just feel very blessed to have that grant. We have some STEAM grants and some others to support that as well. So I guess we're kind of in that wind down this summer, coming out of our summer programming, kind of ramping up all of our hiring, a lot of training that's going to go into that. But I think it's going to be just a phenomenal year, a lot to build off of from last year. Creighton did a great job setting up some great reading and ELD interventions last year that we're going to be continuing into this year. And I think we're going to begin to see some just incredible growth from our students. And so just would say, just big thank you for the district and the school board for being very supportive of our students, of our staff. We're just really looking forward to a really great year this year. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments or advice for us.
Luck with the melding.
Name badges. Everybody should have a name badge all the time.
There you go.
Okay, thanks, Dusty.
Thank
We'll go
you.
ahead and let
Thank you
get
very
back
much.
to
Appreciate
your
it.
meeting.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, and next we'll have Tony with the middle school.
I'm glad I'm going first because I saw Andrew walk in with all his swags. Otherwise, you're gonna be like. So I ended last year by saying I have to keep up with the men and do a PowerPoint. Last year I didn't, so we have PowerPoint. So I got. Okay, so and I'm thankful, nothing like the elementary school. We do have a couple new hires for our middle school. We lost a couple teachers because of staffing. And then thankfully, we got an addition. And so the new staff, I stole one, sorry, Dusty. I stole one from Dusty. Jesse Zavala was the transfer from the elementary school. He was the PE teacher there last year. And he has a history endorsement and I hired him as our history teacher. So he will be moving over to the middle school. Beth Smith, pending board approval tonight, fingers crossed, will be our new science teacher. She has 25 years experience and the last 12-ish has been in England, moved to Scotland with her husband and taught in the UK, for the last few years, but she has lots of experience. So I think we're really lucky to have her and it's gonna be really exciting.
Tony, do you want to talk about what that does curriculum wise for your middle school kids?
Yeah, the big thing that it does, which I'm so thrilled about, for many years now, because of endorsements that the staff has, because of the number of staff students, last year was the first time for some time that our 8th grade had full year science and history. They've always had full year language arts and math, but they only had half a year history and half a year science. Last year, we got to do it for 8th grade full year. Because Beth Smith is coming on and she has a science endorsement. Yes, we have smaller staff, but because of the endorsements, we're now able to play with the schedule and all of our grades, 6th, 7th, and 8th will have full-time, not just language arts and math, but full year science and full year history, which I am thrilled about. I am so excited about. So yes, so every student will have full year of the 4 core subjects. And then just this week, we started, Sasha Chesnikoff started as our office secretary. So, and really like her. She's doing a great job. We told her she's official. Her name's on here. So that's what I can. So, I kind of smile when I say this, so I can't wait till my staff. But the wording I'm using is, and I had to, I'm north, south, east, west compared. So I hope I guessed this right. The east building is our science wing. That's where the 8th grade was housed. I changed that because I really thought it was a good idea having science and math. They kind of go hand in hand, but having them next to each other. And especially having science. So Kim Bela and our new science teacher, Beth Smith, will be right next to each other, have an open door. And they're also the slightly bigger rooms, so it's better for doing that. And then the west building, which is the main hallway, will be our language arts and history wing. So I think that's going to be really nice so that they can collaborate easier. They're going to be in there together. I really like this idea. I think it's going to be a really good thing. Our schedule actually matches the high school schedule. I don't know if Andrew has this, but this is what the schedule is going to be looking like for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays when we do not have early release, Thursday and Friday. The students start at 8 o'clock and then they will leave at 3. They have 56-minute classes except for fourth period. Fourth period, we're changing also a little bit. And it's semantics, but there's a reason behind it. We're changing from advisory to homeroom. And why we're changing the name is because we're now having a teacher have those students for 3 years. So they will have them as 6th graders, 7th graders, and then 8th graders in their homeroom. I really like that because I've taught here for years. And the one thing I did like about having half a year history is I got 7th graders in history, and then I got them again as 8th graders in history. And that bond, I knew them coming in. I knew what to expect from them. They knew me. And so this is a huge connection for these students to have. The best example right now I can see is the 3 teachers that are doing the 8th grade homeroom had those students as 7th graders last year. So they're going to have that connection right away. As soon as they walk in the room, they're going to know what those kids are as 7th graders, and then they're now 8th graders. And so that's a 35-minute period that they'll have every day with those teachers. Also with the parents, because they knew the parents and they'll have that connection 3 years in a row. And if you see, Jose as an 8th grader, and boy, they didn't act that way as a 6th grader and a 7th grader, they can be like, what's going on? I'm seeing a very different Jose as an 8th grader than I saw as a 6th and 7th grader. Or coming in brand new as an 8th grade teacher, you might not catch that. So I'm really excited about that change. Early release Wednesdays, not all, but most of our Wednesdays will be early release Wednesdays. Students starting at 8, and then students will be dismissed at 1. This is going to be really great for our staff because of being able to have meetings. We will have 2, we call them PLCs, professional learning communities. I had to think that through. That we are having core. So each one of my core classes has 2 teachers. So I have 2 history teachers, 2 language arts teachers, 2 science teachers, 2 math teachers. So they have a PLC together that they will be able to collaborate together, and they'll be near each other. But then we also have grade level PLCs so that the 6th grade team can get together, 7th grade team and 8th grade team can get together. Instructional assistants will spread out around those. And then we will have those meetings specific times, and I'll have their schedules so that like my ELD teacher, my SPED teacher will know, oh, they're going to be talking about this kid during this time, so I can slip in, and then I have to run and go to the other meeting at this time. So we will make sure that those schedules are shared so that those specialists can get where they need to be. So moving up is next Thursday. I'm very excited about this. So this is the first time that we're going to be doing this. The Latinx grant helped us pay for this. So thank you again. And yes, we do have that Latinx grant. That grant goes from K to 8th grade. So the middle school does also benefit from that. So this went out we went and visited with the 6th graders in June, handed this out, told them about it. It's also been emailed out. It's been put on our Facebook. There's been announcements made. So fingers crossed, we'll have lots of new 6th graders show up. It's on Thursday from 10 to 2, and there will be lunch provided. It's at the middle school. We have several teachers that will be there. 6th grade team will be there. 6th grade PE teacher, which is Ms. Bazan, who we share with the elementary school. She will be there. It also sounds like Jervis PD will be stopping in to just introduce themselves. We're gonna be meeting teachers, our Ms. Aloha, Ms. Venya will be there. They're gonna try their locker, which was kind of the scariest thing about moving into middle school. We're gonna be playing games. They're gonna be literally running around the school doing scavenger hunt, meeting, making new friends, swag, which is one of the things you guys are gonna be getting. Just basically having fun to kind of get over those butterflies. It's a big deal, moving from 5th grade elementary, being the top dog, to becoming 6th grade middle school, not so much the top dog. And it's scary. It's a total different, you're switching classes, a lot more teachers, you have a locker. Yeah, so we just want to make that exciting and more fun and kind of get those butterflies under control. They do have to get there on their own. There is no transportation. This is a new program that I'm going to be starting this year. I'm just right now calling it the Student Buddy Program. Might change the name. But my idea, this is for students that start after September, not at the beginning of the year, but they come in maybe October, November, anytime during the year. And middle school is tough. And if you're the new person walking in and everybody has their friend groups and everybody knows where to go, I know it's a small school, but it's still intimidating. That I want to have leaders from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. So when that new person does start, that they are buddied up with that person, at least for the first day, that they literally follow their schedule. I don't want them to jump into a new schedule. I want them buddied up with that person, go around with that person, have them introduce them to their friends, take them to the cafeteria with them. Oh, this is when we go to PE. Just to kind of make those connections and have a friendly face. I think it's going to be a great year. I love having new staff in that bring new ideas and new fun and new excitement. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great year. So I am not Andrew, so I do have a few things for you. I have a lanyard for each of you. Hold up, of course. Even for you, that check. We'll make sure that Arma gets one. Welcome. Thank you. Oh, yes, I can definitely do that. And in fact, the letters to parents went out in the mail today, so they will get them. These we purchased for the 6th grade moving up. And I thought it was a great idea until I started putting the caps on and I was like, ooh, these could be really good squirt guns. Lady, how much I got? So we'll definitely have to have a talk about what are these used for? They are not a squirt gun. So, yes. And I did mention it in the letter that went home. I am changing the cell phone policy. This last year, the cell phone policy for middle school was basically during passing time, before school, after school, lunchtime, Fun Fridays, which is a time, the last period when they students that have good grades, A, B, C's, they go and have fun. They go and play in the gym. They go and play bingo. And the D's and F students go and get help from teachers and are in a study hall. But those Fun Friday kids could have a phone. So there was lots of opportunities for phone, which they loved, but it created some negative backlash. So what I did for this year, it is written in our handbook, and it also went home in the letter, is that no students are allowed to have phones during the day. Yes, they're allowed to bring them to school. But the minute they are allowed to access their locker, those phones go in their locker and they stay in their locker until they leave at 3 o'clock. They're not even going to be allowed to have them at lunch and recess. They're not going to be able to have them at Fun Fridays. I just purchased, I think, like 8 new games. They're going to have to learn to talk to each other and play games. So we did games last year, but I bought more this year so that because that's also, you got to keep them busy. If they're not busy, then they're going to start figuring out negative ways to be busy. So, but not everybody wants to play basketball. So there'll be games, board games, cards for them to play. I'm fixing my foosball table so that they can have that again to use. But just, there was more negative to having the phones than positive. And as I said in my letter, there's so much coming out now. Scientists are saying how bad the phones are and the social media and everything with it, that they just need a break from it. So-
This is the first time that we're doing something like this, right? For as far as for phones.
It is.
I mean, we've never done anything like this before, so this is good. No, I'm totally for this.
Yeah.
I've always
They're
said.
not allowed in K5, right? They don't have them in, so for the sixth graders,
Yeah.
okay, it's same. There'll be a little bit of backlash probably with the eighth
Yeah.
graders.
Even seventh grade, I'm not too concerned about, because again, as sixth graders, most of them didn't have phones. Some did, but some didn't. They knew that they couldn't use them during class time. The backlash, which it always is the eighth graders.
How are you gonna enforce it?
So we're gonna have a very strong, we're gonna have an assembly at the beginning, but we're gonna have a very strong conversation about the cell phone policy. We're gonna be going through it in the handbook. The handbook states that it's basically a 3-strike. The first one is that we just talk to you. No, you know the policy, hand me your phone, give it to the office, and then Ms. Guerrero, my office manager, will keep a log and write down, okay, Tony got her phone taken away on this date. The second time it happens, again, we take their phone away, take it to the office. At that point, we call home. I didn't want to call home in the first one because again, we're trying to teach them responsibility. I don't want to be tattling to their parents. I want to be able to talk to them and have them step up and go, oh yeah, you're right. I know the policy. So the second time is when then I call home. Okay, I gave you a chance to do it on your own. Now I do need to call home. The third time it happens, we take it away, we call home, and then the parent has to physically come and get the phone. And then we let the parent know your child can't have a phone the rest of the semester. They can start over new next semester. Next semester might be a week away, or it might be 3 months away, whenever. But third strike, the parent comes and gets the phone. If they break that app, or if they come and have a phone again, then they will be brought in. That's when we'll be doing a major referral. That's when they'll get in-school suspension and more consequences than just the phone being taken away. And we will go through and the students will know very clearly, this is the way it is. I know it's different than last year for 7th and 8th grade, but this is it.
Backlash with parents and things there. Parents are gonna be ones kind of,
Yeah.
my kid needs to have that phone with them and things there, what, on things like this. How?
And in fact, in the letter, the next paragraph says, if you need to contact your child, please contact the office and we will get a message to them. I mean, boy, we survived. Without, yeah, if there's an emergency, we can get a hold of your child
I've
and
always,
let them know.
I've always hoped that we could do something like this eventually. and things there. I knew it's
So-
gonna be an uphill battle, but it's okay.
Yeah,
Well,
especially, I think it's gonna be tough the first at least week or first couple
Yeah.
weeks.
100%.
And then when they figure out, oh, we're sticking to it,
Yep.
and that's one thing I'm gonna be telling my staff, everybody has to follow this. We can't have one teacher over here going, oh, just have it in your
Yeah.
pocket. No, we're not doing that. We have to stick to this. And I did talk to my staff in June before we left, and I said, this is what I'm doing. Everybody has to follow it. And my staff said, yes, we agree. Everybody has to follow it. So they support it.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much.
All right. High school.
You want help reading your swag up?
You guys can trade the finger for the defense.
Thank you.
I'm giving you
Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
The foam fingers are trying to encourage everyone to come to football games and basketball games or whatever.
I would just like to say, I don't know, I would like to see Henry. put this. Bow. Well, you have to tie your hair.
I just make a cut.
I'll be quiet. you.
I'll try to go through everything a little bit quickly. We're really just kind of doing an overview of anything new to Jervis High School. First of all, introduce Justin. Athletic Director.
Hey there.
How are the kids?
They're good.
So welcome, Justin.
Yes, welcome.
First board meeting.
I don't know what's going on. Creighton said he lost the video.
They thought I had it. and-
Sorry, Creighton, don't know why.
Like,
And you can move on to the next slide.
I would love to.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
wait
So
till-
first things first, everyone's favorite thing, summer school and credit recovery.
Yeah.
So back in June, we did our normal thing we normally do. We try to push the kids through right when school ends and invite them in June. We did 2 weeks of that. We did approximately 59 students who showed up either in person or some were working from home. So we had 59 in June. And then we decided, primarily because, and I'll get to that in a minute, Ms. Jackson, who was running the pause program, is no longer with Jervis. So we had to kind of, like, our plan to begin with was we're going to continue what we did in June and August. And so when she left, we came back, Justin and I were like, okay, we got to get these kids in here to finish these classes. So he has been taking on that task. So this week and next week, there are students that we've invited, basically all of Jervis High School. You want to come in because you still have a class out there for credit recovery that's online. Email Justin, come on in. We've only had about 10 students take us up on that offer. So we're hoping to get more in, but we have said August 31st, all of those classes are going to be done. And primarily it's so our new alternative ed teacher comes in with a clean slate. Because we don't want him just playing catch up with everything from this last school year. So hopefully we'll try to get more in the building. Everything's on Odysseyware, which is our online program. We didn't allow students to continue a class with a teacher that wasn't there over the summertime. It was like, no, okay. So that's where we're at right now, but hold that. New staff, we have 5. Caitlin Metzger is our new FFA ag teacher. Megan Dilson is the replacement for that. Benjamin Poff is our new alternative ed teacher. Lots of discussions are going to happen with him on what alternative ed looks like for Jervis High School now. When Janelle came in 2 years ago, she built an entire program. I've already met with him and basically said, give me your ideas on what alt ed is to you. So some things will probably stay, some things will look a little different. The classroom is different. We moved them from room 17 to room 22. So it's a bigger space. So a lot's going to happen with alt ed. Elizabeth Obendorf came from the elementary school to the high school. She was an IA over there, but now she's a teacher or ELD with us. So that's going to be exciting. Maddie Kramer was also at an IA at the elementary school, is now at the high school with us, currently helping coach volleyball, but will also be helping in the alt room about half of her day. And then Justin, who's already up and running. So yeah. I'm gonna let you take over the leadership slide.
Okay. So Becky later is going to be our liaison, new advisor for the leadership program, but I am going to be in a supportive role. I taught leadership when I was at Jervis. I took it over. I have heavy background in student government and student leadership. So I'm going to help create a better framework of expectation for the students. I would like to incorporate a lot more student activities, having them be visible and helping out at events. We're going to do committees. They'll be very active in the school process. I will also spend some time. I just found the old student constitution, which is a bit out of date.
It literally had Becky Miller in high school on it.
So we're going to, I will spend some time with Becky and the kids.
Yeah.
Redrafting a new constitution that will make it more modern and fit the needs of Jervis in our community in the 21st century. What we will also be looking for is, I will talk to students. It is a great privilege for students to be in leadership or student council because it is a benefit on a transcript, and we're going to make sure that this is understood, that this is what colleges are looking for. And so I want them to earn not only only the skills that are needed, but the attributes that come along with it, so that they're leaving the program with the skills that they can lead into college and career readiness. So that'll be a great thing. We're going to bring back the Student of the Month celebrations. We'll have a assembly at the end of each month. The teacher will pick one student, but they'll have several parameters from academics to citizenship that will allow them, and then we will have the teachers present the students with the awards, bringing back some of that culture and climate that is what I saw when I was at Jervis, and that I hope to help bring back. I want excitement. I want kids to be in the school. I want kids to want to be in the school. So that's one of, I see our leadership's main focus of having happen.
Yeah, it's exciting. It'll be really good to get kids involved in leadership, kind of running all that stuff. College and career, talked quite a bit about this last spring. Sophie Ferreira is the new official Oregon Gear Up advisor, college and career advisor. It came to us, it was like April last year. So she's still kind of getting her feet wet, but started in early August, is already working to organize field trips, get people into the building, those kind of things. Justin's also going to be supporting quite a bit in that role, with coming up with career plans and those sorts of things for all of our kids. Andrea Oropeza, the counselor, is also really good at this sort of thing, and they're right next door to each other. So Sophie's going to have a lot of support and a lot of people kind of help and guide her way, but she is already doing those sorts of things. So really, really exciting. And I put at the end, she will be. I mean, it's really, it's kind of like we just want to add on more things year to year to year to year. It's a 7-year grant. So.
How are ninth graders all to that also?
Yes,
Or is it,
whole school, yeah.
so the whole school can go
Obviously,
to these
the
field
big
trips?
focus on, for field trips and all that kind of stuff, absolutely. We try to get the entire building out to visit colleges and things like that, but obviously big focus in springtime for that position is, seniors and making sure that they know what their plans are in that.
Juniors, as we're learning, the further the better for them.
I want to, we've talked about a great deal. We want to get it from the very beginning. They walk in ninth grade, them to start thinking about that process. Absolutely.
Which, one way or the other.
Yeah, which kind of leads me to this slide. 2 different new, I don't want to call them curriculums because that's not what they are. They're programs. Character Strong is a new supplemental program we're going to put into our advisory classes. It's kind of team building, peer-to-peer relationship building, that kind of thing, getting students up out of their seat and, doing those kinds of activities, which they all really love to do. So it'll be really beneficial for our high school kids.
Yeah.
But it's something I've really wanted to bring for a few years now, and Andrea was really passionate about it too. And so we're both like, we need to make this happen. That's great. Get them off their phones. Tony alluded to the phone. I mean, let's start interacting with each other. Positive. And then Find Your Grind. We really needed a new career inventory. We did Oregon CIS for a while. We did Use Science. We now have Find Your Grind. So it's not only a career inventory that students will take for their interests and what career paths they can go into, but it's also a personality inventory. Like based on your hobbies and your interests, what careers could help guide you. Really want to keep, I don't want to start something new, so I'm hoping we can keep this for years and keep it going, and that's our thing. And it's really attractive when the kids log into it. It looks like a video game. Like, it's not just like a green screen on their. We are going to so student support team we've already had. This will be the 2nd year of that. Combination of IAs, teachers, counselors, SPED, alt ed, attendance, admin, meet once a week, talk about kids. Teachers fill out a very simple Google form for any students that they're concerned about. We come together and we try to apply interventions to help them and then come back weekly and see where we're at. And then GHS leadership team will be our new site council, what we're going to call it, leadership team. And same kind of thing. We're really hoping that group guides all big things and decisions, and that's going to guide everything. Strategic plan, new evaluation system, everything needs to be comprised in one package and fit together. And we're hoping that group is what's going to guide that work. So. All right. Community service hours are back. We didn't do them for a long time. So we are bringing them back. The criteria will be 10 hours for freshmen, 20 for sophomores and juniors, and 30 for seniors. We'll do our best to work with local agencies and find as many opportunities for students to volunteer as possible. You know, if you play a sport or you're a part of a club or that kind of thing, your hours are gonna apply to those types of things as well. Yeah, we'll see. There's gonna be a lot of work just to find anybody. So if you know of any opportunities for students to volunteer, please email Justin and I.
Sure.
So we can kind of start getting that list rolling. All right. And embedded honors, we started it last year. It's still a thing. We're building the plane as we fly it. Again, the reason is wanting to encourage students to challenge themselves. We will attempt to step up the rigor of what teachers are offering for their embedded honors option in their class. But it's still 26 total credits students will need. So generally speaking, in 4 years, if you start as a freshman, you need 1 full extra year of science and math. Is really the basic criteria, and 3.5 GPA. But it's kind of been waived, so it's 10 credits in honors classes, but it was 3 credits for the class of 2023 last year, 7 credits for this year's seniors, because they've only been doing it for a year. But eventually we'll get to that full amount.
How many kids did you have last year?
I knew you were gonna ask me that. I want to say 7. It was not a lot. I know it was about 5 to 10 kids.
This is the first time in a while. Some kids probably didn't even understand what that meant and how to get to it,
No.
what
yeah.
it benefits and things, so.
But now, now the kids are talking about it, maybe a little bit more, we can sell it to.
Yep.
more.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we did do a bridge to 9 this year. I don't know why, probably because I wasn't here very long to be able to do that and get it planned.
Well, we didn't have the funding either.
Um,
3 day.
That was paid for at a summer school monies, and since the state didn't fund summer school.
So what we have been doing this week is, Mr. Raymond and I have been driving around Jervis and knocking on students' doors, introducing ourselves and providing some swag, some water bottles, some t-shirts, some lanyards, and introducing ourselves and getting them pumped up and letting them know that we're ready for them to come. We're excited for them to come. It's been going really well, except for the time that I threw one of the things onto the students' gutter on their Sunday.
We're trying to ramp it up, so it's one of us standing at the door at the car and we're throwing the t-shirt.
It's really exciting. Overshot by about a foot. Luckily, I had a thing from my truck and we got it out. And plenty of the students just stand there like, I don't have no idea what's going on.
Welcome to high school.
But it's been really good. The kids, most of the kids, if they hadn't just woken up, are very excited. They're smiling and they're ready, and so it's great to get to see kids. And so it's been going really well.
And yeah, just a couple of reminders. Freshman orientation is September 5th, same day for 6th grade orientation. So that'll be 8 to 1 o'clock, I believe. They'll go through their whole schedule, they'll get their locker, they'll do an assembly, welcome to high school, that kind of thing. And then first day of school for all students is September 6th. We were talking about this today. We're gonna make that just a normal school day. Instead, I mean, we've done special schedules in the past, but we really want to have them come in and be like, all right, go to first period. And then we'll do an assembly during advisory, but that'll really be it. Like, let's get the ball rolling. We're starting school day 1. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. It's awesome.
All right, and welcome, Jenny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thought it was Creighton's turn. Creighton's just here to look good. He looks like he's on a walkabout, fighting the cougars or something. Literally, like, not the cougars.
I'm transitioning from gymnastics to soccer at the moment. So,
Oh.
but I am able to answer any questions if you have them.
Yeah. I try not to notice the movement. Oh, well, first of all, I want to say congratulations to Jenny. Nice to have you here. And I bet that the Government Ethics Committee will likely need a little report to be filed by you. It's a really fun one. So I'll send you the
Fun begins.
information.
Sounds
Okay.
fantastic.
It's a new law,
Okay,
so.
sounds great.
Well, for the first month of the fiscal year, everything's kind of about where you would expect it to be. We received the double state school fund payment in July, but we also did a double payment to Frontier Charter for their portion of it. So, I wanted to just say something about the ending fund balance for 22-23. Where I'm going to present that at the September meeting because we're trying to really wrap everything up this month and have it pretty much be about where it will end, pending the audit, of course. But it's looking like it's in line with about where we were thinking we would be when we set the budget and what the carryover balance would be. So it's looking pretty consistent with that. So first, I'd like to ask you to move to page 31. I mean, if I'm going to point anything out on the first month, and they're tiny numbers, I just figured I'd go to this on page 31. It's that all funds financial overview. Under special revenue funds, the year-to-date salary and benefits, you saw that the prior year we were at 2.4% of the actuals, or right now we're at 0.54 of budget. And that's all part of our much smaller summer school program. So last year in July, we had a payroll and benefits of $83,347. This year in July it was $20,261. That gives you an idea, pay wise, how much different the summer school event is this year compared to last year. So the next thing I'm going to move right into is the construction excise tax, which is exciting. So for some people. So if you look at page 41, which is the actual resolution that I am proposing that I would like the board to hopefully pass. We have been moving, at this $1.39 per square foot for construction excise tax. And that was the 2021 rate, and it hasn't changed since then. And I'd like to apply the 23-24 allowable limit of $1.56, which is shown on page 34, the next page over, or not, sorry, that's not the next page, but on page 34, they kind of showed that layout in the report. So just a little bit of history on this. Apparently, when this started up, I don't know how this practice happened, but they started awarding credit to people like exemptions that were not on any of the exemptions allowable by the state. They kind of created their own, and you can do that kind of thing, but it was never put into writing or passed in any way. It just was happening. And so they would come in and say, we were told we could get a credit because we tore down a 2,000 square foot home and we're building a 3,000 square foot home. And we understand that we can get a credit for the $2,000 portion. And so,
The 2,000 square foot portion.
right. So
Yeah.
they don't pay for 2,000 square feet of it. They only pay for 1,000 square feet of the home in the excise tax. And so I kind of checked around and asked how, I can't find this in anything in writing, and was told, well, we started doing that. And they tell people at the county that we do that. The county tells them, so they come to us, they walk in the door and, come in and want an exemption, which really surprised me, quite honestly, when I first got here, that people were walking in the door asking for tax exemptions, because I'm not the assessor. So it was kind of a surprise. So I had to kind of figure out what is all this happening. So what I would like to do is to put in the wording of, because this is what we pass, and then we do a little note
to the city and the county assessor and say, this is what our board passed. And also to put that there will be no exemptions beyond what is allowable by the state. I thought you might ask this question, so I did look up this last year. How much, how many homes we did exemptions for, and we did 7 home exemptions, partial, full for some. It totaled 9,950 square feet. So that was $13,830 that we did not receive in excise tax. And if you applied that figure to the proposed new rate, that's over $15,000. I looked at the other school districts that do excise tax in our county, and only one has the same type of exemption where they're, again, ours is not in writing, theirs is actually in writing, where they allow if there's a remodel or a home was destroyed, that they'll give them credit for square footage, and that's North Santiam. And then I checked, on like Clackamas County, nearby Clackamas County, and there were 4 school districts out of 16 that had exemptions that they didn't charge excise tax if the building, for 3 of them was under 1,000 square feet, and 1 if the building was under 500 square feet. So, and that kind of makes sense to me, because that's probably a very low income home to begin with, if it's just at that size. And so, but that's just a few of them, and the rest of them do not allow any kind of exemptions. So, I just thought I would give you kind of the facts on the exemptions. And there are exemptions for if it's like a school or it's a nonprofit. There are exemptions like that already in place, state law wise. So my proposals, this is it. This is what you pay, because we need to build our one of our basic funds that we have to do repairs of the buildings, and that's pretty important right now for us.
And I guess, what's the benefit is, it only goes to it doesn't help us at all. The exemption, no, the exemptions that we were
Don't
giving,
help us, no.
nothing.
No.
And it was just,
Just
we were
nice.
doing it just because we were being nice.
Yeah, just being nice.
Wow,
So-
it's been nice.
Yeah.
We've been nice enough then.
So, but I don't want to change what's been going on as a past practice until, because it is something we do approve, the rates. So I didn't know was something talked about
Yeah, no.
otherwise.
And you want it in writing. I mean,
Yep.
you want, it's like a policy. I mean, you want to change it, then we can change it, but at this point.
Right, I just want to
Surprised that the state saying, when they have nothing from us. Saying,
That-
oh, go to the school and get an exemption.
I can't tell you how it started. We've kind of been racking our brains and
I'm
curious about this whole thing. I'm along with Karen's recommendation to you as a board that I think that you need to be collecting the appropriate
Right.
level.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
That's why I will. Tell me to come to me.
Well, and I think that's another piece of it. Is it really fair?
Yeah.
It's one person at the office might say something, the other person doesn't. So then it's not even a fair thing.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? I never did this with the first house. Yeah.
Well, I've had interesting phone calls from people who call me and they're like, I don't have any kids in the district and we're not planning on having any kids. So why do I have to pay that tax? I'd rather not have those phone calls personally.
Yeah, I
So I don't want no exceptions.
So this is slated as an action item later in your.
Okay,
agenda. So
that's
this is
that.
part of Karen's report.
Perfect.
So are there any questions budget wise or about the excise tax?
But thank you for the enlightenment.
Okay. Very interesting. That is all I have.
My board report, again, it's covered in discussion, so we can move on if you're okay with that.
Board focus, you guys have anything? Anything you want to chat about? On to consent items.
The new consent item on your
Yeah.
table there.
Here, we got some red on there. On that, I do have a quick question on
Yeah.
that. On the substitute teacher, that 250, what is that? 250 to 125, number 10. What does that mean? Is that a daily thing?
Sorry.
Right down
Okay.
there.
Oh.
Is that a daily?
Yeah, those are half day. The 125 is a half day, 250 is a full day.
And so 138, and then after 10 days, after 11 consecutive.
Right,
they
it
go to
goes
that.
up a certain amount.
That's all I have. Anybody else?
Fine.
Motion.
Move that the,
Yep, read that top part.
move that the Jervis School District Number One Board of Directors approves the consent items as listed in mass 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5.
We have a motion?
Aye.
Oh,
I second.
any second? We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good, good. And action items, and so that's where,
We just have one action item for tonight, and that is found on page 40, which is the resolution that adopts the excise tax limits as currently described.
but we don't have to read the whole entire resolution.
No, you could just do the.
Everyone's in favor of.
Need a motion.
Right?
Yep, just go ahead and motion, right,
Okay, move that the Jervis School District Number One Board of Directors approves the updated construction excise tax limits as shown in agenda item 08-23-8.1.1.
we have a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
On the discussion item.
Yes.
So a reminder, you have a board work session on August 29th at 6:00. Kristen Miles from OSBA will be attending that meeting, go over the board's self-evaluation. And then we'll also look at last year's goals, both the board goals and my goals. And based on your self-evaluation and information coming out of the strategic plan, what goals you'd like to set for the coming year. I think that you might want to also ask Kristen if you're interested about the PSP scholarship again,
Oh,
because that's how you funded the seniors
yeah. We're-
scholarships.
We're-
So
We're eligible to do that?
I don't know, doesn't hurt to ask.
No,
If
100%.
you don't ask, the answer is always no.
You guys did it twice, right? Have you done it twice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that the work that you did with your project
Mhm.
was actually really helpful with the strategic plan and kind of giving direction to the district. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk more in depth about the strategic plan after you get I'm going to call it a data dump. So we're going to be presenting what our reading scores were from iReady and our math scores,
Okay.
as well as what happened with our ELD population after we had that focus on ELD instruction and how all of that then tied into the strategic plan. And there might be a couple of other things that we need to add to that meeting with regard to the bond. I don't know yet, so.
All right,
And that was, I'm sorry, August 29th.
August 29th at 6:00.
oh, well, are we done?
With that part, yeah.
For that? Yep. Fine.
Okay, the strategic plan, the document is pretty much the same except until you get to page 9 and 10. As a review, we are keeping the same goals for the 3 years of the document, but what we're changing as we move towards progress and meeting the goals, we change the performance indicators and the measures. And so you're throughout the year going to be getting different committee reports about how are we doing with our social emotional learning goals? How are we doing with the equity goals? And we have curriculum that will continue. So we'll give you more of an update on that after you see the data that comes out in a couple of weeks. And then, of course, goal 4 has to do with the facilities and bond. And so we're continuing, right now, we're making steady progress through those performance measures and indicators. So I would encourage you to take a look at this. And then when we get to the work session in a week and a half, if you have questions, then we can dive into those more deeply. And then the final discussion item or update for my board report is the bond. And so that we've been doing a lot of data gathering. At your September meeting, you will have a more formal presentation from the polling company that we hired. And that'll be a chance for you to ask some more specific questions after you've seen the report and had a chance to think it over. Part of the other information gathering that I've been doing is that I had a meeting with McKinstry engineers, that they were the people that helped us apply for the energy Renew America grant last spring that we didn't get.
Yeah.
And so there is a handout on your at your seat.
It's right here.
Yeah, that says McKinstry on it. And for audience members, if you want a copy of that, it's back there. Karen will get you one. But I thought that this would be an important piece for you to kind of have in your back pocket, because we've been talking about the lack of funding for certain projects. So we have some ESSER funds left. We have to spend by the end of September of 2024. We had designated that to help improve the HVAC system at the elementary school. And so they brought engineers and architects and electricians in to study the elementary school. And they presented several different kinds of projects that we might consider. And so the first project, it's at the top of your page there, it's 3.1 Jervis Elementary School HVAC upgrades. You'll see that the range for this particular project is anywhere from 231,000 and some change to 282,000. And what that does is, if you turn it over to the second page, you'll see this radiator with the lattice guard around it. It just upgrades those. You would still have the radiators with the lattice guards, but it would modernize the steam system a little bit, but it's still hot, a burning hazard. So you would just have something that looks a little newer, but it's the same thing for $230,000 and no air conditioning. The second project that I asked them to look at would be a unit ventilator upgrade, which would have taken out all of those radiators, replaced the electrical panel, which is a huge cost for all of that. And so it would look more like the second picture on that page. That's what the high school has right now. The high school did receive a major upgrade, which is being paid for by a loan that we took out. So there are no heating problems at the high school any longer. And in fact, all of the classrooms have air conditioning. Main office doesn't have air conditioning. The hallways don't, the gym doesn't, the cafeteria does not, but there are no heating and cooling issues in the high school at this time in the classroom. So for 1 million to 1.2 million, you can have these kinds of items placed into the elementary school, but there will be no air conditioning. So that's only for heating and some airflow. So the so then the next phase is 3.3, where you would have that system that's similar to the high school. It's part of it is a mini split. It would do the full heating and cooling, and that cost is anywhere from $2.5 to $3 million. So not sure how far ESSER funds are going to go, since we've only got about $400,000. And I had asked them to go back and price out what would it cost to put air conditioning in the high school gym. Since we have fixed the heating issue, maybe we can add that and look at the ventilation system in the ag shop at the high school, because that was also an area that was deemed as a problem. So they're working on pricing for that. An option, one option to pay for some of these things is to take out a loan, similar to what we did to try to construct the middle school, or pay for the energy upgrade that we did at the high school, and some of the switch components at the elementary building and that kind of thing. To do these projects, it would be about, if we pick the $3 million one, it would be a 10-year loan for $381,000 per year. you do not have 381,000 extra in your budget to pay for something like that. So, we're doing our due diligence and making sure we're researching all components of these things. So at least we've got our answers on this piece as well. The next thing we're doing with regard to the bond is we've been back in touch with Piper Sandler, who are your finance people, to ask them to run some other numbers and scenarios. So I'll have those coming to you in the next month or so. We are also having our actual budget analyzed by a third party, because we know we've heard our constituents say that we are not spending the money appropriately. And that if we looked hard, we could find the $28 million to repair our buildings. And so we have an independent third party who's going to go over the budget with a fine tooth comb and share if there are areas that we can make adjustments to help pay for these things.
I hope they find it.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know how, but.
I've been in touch with Rebecca Stuker, the architect at IBI, and so she's put together a contract and some proposed meeting dates. I think what I'm going to propose to the board is that in October, we again do community outreach and building tours, but I want to start with the people that are naysayers.
100%.
Specifically
Yes.
identify those people and bring them into the buildings and then have them identify, what are you willing to consider on a bond? Like after you've seen the buildings, what are you willing to consider? We know that many of the things that we need to address, like the high school roof, there is no drainage issue there with regard to drains. The roof has worn out and it cannot be repaired or patched. That we have had engineers up there, we've had architects in there. It is not plug drains.
Guess what over
The
there?
other components like the kitchen at the high school and some of the bathrooms, the locker rooms, they're just worn out. And so once you start ripping out lead pipes and asbestos, it all starts crumbling. And so it is, we know, more money than what you have just sitting around in your operational accounts. So we're continuing to gather all this detail. I think in September and October, you're going to have a lot of really good information that you'll then be able to decide, how do we move forward?
Okay.
And then if you think of something like, oh, I have a question about this, or hey, I'm really wondering about that, let me know so that I can dig into that research and get you that information. So that's, yeah,
It's expensive as anything.
it is. Yeah. And it's the electrical panels
Yeah.
that are really expensive.
Yeah, so the refurbish of it and things there,
I'm not sure why you would spend
I
$280,000
don't know where you.
to have the same thing that you have now in a 100-year-old building.
It makes no sense.
No,
Yeah.
So-
Do it that way.
But that, that's.
it's incredible,
precision.
just to add well, it looks like you add a few more things, right, on the, where the whole system has air conditioning.
Mhm.
It's almost, well, it's almost 3 times.
So could
We're
you
just
do,
had to add air.
could you do it though in phases? So like, say
That's
you
what I was about
decided,
to ask, yes.
right? I mean, if you do the 1 million to 1.2 million, could you eventually add the AC to that? You, or do you have to do it all at once?
No, he said that you could add the AC to that. So if that was something that you would consider, I would want you to come up with what is your plan for getting the additional 1.2 or 5. It'll be more than that by the time you add that, right? Yes.
Well, I'm thinking, okay, so if we do phase 1 and you do, I mean, you said we have to spend the money by the end of this year, right?
Right. And September 2024. That's why I'm asking them for the bid on the high school gym. Because I would, depending on how much money that is, I would bring it to the board and you could decide, what do you,
Which one would we?
What-
yeah,
what-
yeah,
what-
a
what-
better-
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, some more to come on that. Exciting.
Or maybe we'll just start cooling down when we won't have to use.
I
AC
think
anymore.
climate change is going to go the opposite direction, is what I'm hearing.
No.
And so we're good. We're good.
Take the roof off.
Yeah.
Open air.
Done and done.
Open
It's
air.
in their country,
We're
that
great
way.
solution.
The tent cover.
There we go.
So, that's all I have. We do have an executive session slated, so.
So we're done, unless anybody else has anything. Okay, so how about, we're out of here for
And then you need to read the handout
When I come back or now?
right now that you're gonna.
Okay, we're out of the regular. And then Jervis School District number one board. Jervis School Board, Jervis, Oregon will hold executive under